Hey, I have a question for you. When can you start accumulating your 10,000 hours of practice? More about that right after the intro. Welcome Day One Journey, episode 302. Ching. Yeah! So when can you start? When can one start working on their skill, accumulating their 10,000 hours of practice? Don't you remember in the last few episodes, we mentioned the 10,000 hours rule that states that in order to reach any skill, to be an expert in any skill, to be world class, we need to put in at least 10,000 hours of practice, or 3 hours of practice for 10 years. So when we can start accumulating these hours, do we need to practice properly within a school, within a class, or what do you think? Well, at least for me, when I think about it, maybe you already guessed my answer. I think you can start from day one. Yes! And you know what? I think that most of us, if not all of us, starts at day one. Day one as babies. When I think about babies and small children, when I mention them, they're always practicing. They're always doing something. Even when they are just observing, they are so in the moment. They are learning all the time. They are like small little sponges. They absorb everything that they see. I see that as a way of practice, observing. By the way, if you didn't meet the craftsman, he can tell you something about observing as a tip to master your craft. So check the link below for that. So when I think about children, they are already practicing, whether they are conscious about it or not. As I was sharing with you in the last few episodes, many times I find myself practicing something without even being conscious about it. So the fact that I'm not conscious about practicing doesn't mean necessarily that I'm not. So for me, it starts in day one. And as I promised you in the last episode, I shared with you a story of a friend of mine, Nir Krakowski. Yeah, and he's a world expert in a specific area that I promised to share with you. He's a world expert in programming, and more specifically in computer security. He's world class. Yes, he's in the top 100 people in the world, and maybe even more. I just talked to him yesterday, and he started practicing at the age of 4. He started practicing, learning how to program, how to code at the age of 4. And you know what? I might argue that he even started a little bit before, when he observed, when he had the same environment that he was learning at the age of 4. Just before that, the fact that he wasn't, let's say, typing on the computer, for me, doesn't say necessarily that he wasn't practicing even earlier than the age of 4. But this is how I look at it. I don't think there's a specific time when we start learning officially. I think we can always learn, and we can always learn from day one. We can always start day one, whether it's we start as babies, whether we start today. So back to you. How can you treat today as day one of starting to practice whatever you want to master. Think about one skill, one thing that you want to do very well. And think about one action item for you to do today, just a few minutes, to make the first steps, to make this day, day one of practicing whatever is important to you. Make the decision and then follow through and execute. Just a few minutes. And of course, do it today. Make today day one, because you can start anytime you want. And of course, have an amazing day one. See you tomorrow.